So, about a year ago, I uploaded the first video to this channel explaining why I thought Red Bull wouldn't drop Pierre Gasly during the 2019 Formula 1 season. And, well, that aged well, didn't it? But fast forward to present day and we're almost seeing history repeat itself once again, with Gasly's replacement, Alex Albon, facing rumours that he may not keep his seat for 2021. But the question is, should he? Hey there guys, I'm Will and welcome to FP1. Today I thought we'd delve into this topic in a little bit more detail. And before we jump into things, if you do want to know a little bit more behind the history of Red Bull destroying its drivers' careers, I did upload a video on that a few weeks ago on that very topic. So I'll link it up in the top right and also down in the description below. Also, don't forget, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like, comment, and of course subscribe and share it with your mates as well. But yeah, with all the shameless plugs out the way, let's get into things. So I think the best place to start here is the event of the first 12 rounds of the 2019 F1 season, and more specifically, this guy. Pierre's start to the 2019 season was, well, to put it nicely, f***ing dreadful. Gasly would bin it several times in testing, leaving Red Bull struggling for spare parts and limiting their running over the course of one of the most important periods of the season, and move on to the first half of 2019 and, well, things would get even worse. Despite being in the second or third best car that year, Gasly would still find himself no match for Red Bull poster boy Max Verstappen. The Dutchman would lap him at the Austrian and Hungarian rounds, with Gasly only beating Max once at the British Grand Prix, but only as a result of Sebastian Maldonado here. So at this point, everyone was thinking Gasly could get the drop from Red Bull. Well, everyone except me, of course. And funnily enough, during the summer break, it was announced that Pierre would join fellow Red Bull reject Danny Kvyat at Toro Rosso, while rookie Alexander Albon would take his place alongside Lord Verstappen. So if we go back to present day then, let's now compare Pierre's results to that of Alex's. And this is where we hit a slight problem. Comparing finishing positions would be, well, a bit unfair, given the difference in the running order of the teams from 2019 to 2020. So, for example, this year, Ferrari have fallen off the face of the earth quicker than Sebastian Vettel's 2021 contract negotiations, while the Mercedes cars, all four of them, have decided to start their own little championship up at the top. Therefore, the qualifying battle is considerably different when comparing last year to this year. The other snag we hit is that we're only 3 races into the season, and given the pace of silly season this year, there's very little days to go off before we start thinking where drivers are going to be in 2021. That said, looking at the campaign so far this year, here are my findings. So I think the best way to compare Albon and Gasly's performances is if we look back to the only constant from 2019 to 2020. Red Bull teammate Max Verstappen. And for qualifying, with the 2019 Austrian Grand Prix, Gasly was 0.76 seconds slower than his teammate. Compare that to this year with Albon, and he's only 0.391 seconds off. Styrian Grand Prix qualifying in 2020 was basically a monsoon, so we can't really compare it, but moving on to Hungary, and Gasly was 8/10 off the pace in 2019. Albon's 2020 performance here is a little harder to compare, given he was sent out into traffic in Q2, but was still 7/10 slower than Verstappen, which is still not great, but it's closer than Pierre was. But for me, moving on to the race performance gives us some more concrete answers. Though both cars eventually retired from the Austrian GP weekend, it did teach us a lot about Alex's racecraft. Though he was still consistently slower than Max over the course of the race, when everyone began to blow up, Alex kept his head and got his Red Bull car into a position to score a podium or even a race win. I mean, until this happened. But although the final result shows a DNF, it's pretty much exactly what Red Bull want from their second driver. Alex was there to pick up points inside the top 6, and when the team's golden child gets hit by difficulties, he's still there to challenge for a podium or even a race win. Compare this to Pierre, and you'll find that he spent more time landering around with the midfield and hurting Red Bull's Constructors' Championship challenge as a result. Back to Albon though, and if we look at the second race in Styria, it's a similar story. Yeah, Max could have finished a pit stop ahead of Albon, but Alex was still there picking up the points where it mattered. And although he suffered a poor qualifying in Hungary, Albon was still able to fight his way back to 5th place by the flag, and showing off some pretty impressive overtaking skills at the same time. Something we weren't really seeing Pierre at his time at Red Bull. I guess the problem Red Bull could see here is, although the performance is fine when you consider the spread of the teams in 2020, get to the new regulations in 2022, and that cost cap could really shrink that considerably. Being half a second slower than your teammate could be the matter of getting into Q3 or going out in Q1, and we really don't know the finer details yet. And when Red Bull know that this new set of aero regs could be the opportunity to have a car fighting with the Mercedes, then maybe it is time to start looking elsewhere for someone a little bit more consistent. Which brings us on to the question I'm sure you've all been asking. If Albon were to go, then who would replace him? And the answer to this one might just surprise you. So the obvious choice would surely be look at Red Bull's junior team, AlphaTauri, who currently run Pierre and Danny Kvyat. Now, again, going back to Gasly's demotion last year, and I can tell you neither of these will step up in 2021. At the point of Albon's promotion last year, he had half the points of teammate Kvyat. Add on to the fact that Daniel had just 2 races previously picked up Toro Rosso's first podium in over 10 years, why wasn't he promoted? Well, to put it frankly, because Red Bull didn't want to suck it up and go back to a driver they'd shafted for Max in 2016. For Red Bull, this would look like them going back on a driver who had previously failed them, and although Kvyat and Gasly haven't done badly at all this year, there's just no way this arrogant is going to go back on his word. So if the junior team is out, who's left? Well, maybe then people would turn to Sebastian Vettel. Now, it should be noted that Seb was nowhere near his peak when he was winning titles for Red Bull between 2010 and 2013, but does he deserve to drop off the grids given the fact that Romain Grosjean and Lance Stroll are still on it? Definitely not. Vettel may be portrayed as a bit of a rubbish driver at the moment, but apart from his messy race in round 1, things have been looking a lot better for him. He's currently winning the qualifying battle against Charles Leclerc and slowly creeping up on his teammates' points tally as well. Now, perhaps the bigger question is, would Vettel play second fiddle to Verstappen? And in normal circumstances, no. No, he wouldn't, and history's taught us that. However, if Seb wants to stay in F1 and wants to stay in a top team, then perhaps Red Bull is his only viable option, with the doors to Ferrari and Mercedes firmly shut. The problem here is Christian Horner has already come out and claimed that Red Bull will not be signing Vettel for 2021. Though, he also said he backed Pierre Gasly in 2019, so... But if we do take his word on this one, then there's only one driver left I can see ending up in that Red Bull seat. That is, if they do decide to ditch Alex Albon for next year. And that driver is Sergio Perez. Sergio's supposedly in a long-term deal with Racing Point, or Tracing Point, or Pink Mercedes, or Bastard... The pink cars, you know what I'm on about. However, over the last few weeks, it's emerged that Sebastian Vettel is in talks with the team over a drive in 2021. And although many would, given the chance to get rid of one of these guys, ditch Lance Stroll, let's not forget here that his dad owns the team. And as a result, I firmly believe Vettel will end up in that car for next year, with poor Perez getting the boot. Now, is this right? No. Is this fair? No. How do I feel about this? I think it's a fucking disgrace, but that doesn't matter because... money. Anyway, this series of events would leave Perez hunting for a new drive, with many of the big opportunities high up the grid shut off. Now, there are rumours stating that he's in talks with Alfa Romeo and that Haas are also another option, but I wouldn't rule out a shock move to Red Bull either. If Red Bull want a driver who can be up there consistently, then their best bet out of those that are still free is Sergio Perez. He's incredibly fast, has got all his podiums in F1 in midfield cars, and that's a stat that's hard to argue with. Perez does also deserve a chance in a top team again, and I feel like this really could be his last shot given the fact that he is getting on the older side of things now. But the main worry here is, would he be willing to play wingman with Lord Verstappen? And personally, I can't see that being one nice happy family. So let's actually answer the question in the title. Should Red Bull drop Alex Albon? And for me, the answer is just not yet. Red Bull need to make their minds up as to whether they want a wingman second driver or a driver that can fight at the front, because it's really impossible to have both, as 2018 shows. For me, looking back at the stats from earlier, Alex hasn't done enough worthy of dropping him just yet, and to be honest, I think he deserves being kept in that car for at least one more year, and maybe instead promoting 2 new rookies into AlphaTauri. That way, if one of them does shine in 2020 and Alex is still looking a little bit subpar, perhaps then we can consider making a change, but right now, Alex is in the right place and needs to be assured of that before the stress and the nerves take him down. But thinking back, this is basically what I said last year, which, as I mentioned, worked out real well. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on this situation down in the comments below. Do you think Alex Albon should stay at Red Bull, and should someone else replace him in 2021? If so, who would that be? Let's start a debate down in the comments. I try and respond to as many people as I can. But yeah, while you're doing it, make sure you drop a sub and a like and share the video with your mates if you haven't already. But that's all from me. I'll catch you on Sunday for my reaction to the British Grand Prix. But until then, have a good one, guys.